This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. At its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it might be, though, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So we thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing today on episode 126. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Loomis, and alongside me back in seat number 2, but really the most important one, the one you're all here to see, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome back, wearing your Omaha shirt. I love it.
Omaha. Never heard that before. War Eagle, glad to be back. Happy Memorial Day to all those who got the day off. Certainly thankful for all those who have sacrificed a lot for us to have our freedoms. But I hope you had a great Memorial Day, and I hope our viewers and listeners did as well.
Absolutely. It was a great day and weekend for those of you that celebrated, all weekend of celebrating, obviously family and friends. But the real reason we're all here, and so many of Auburn men and women have given their lives over the years. We've even, while Shug Jordan obviously didn't lose his life, but we know the history of him being involved in D-Day, and certainly Clint Richardson will be the one that you need to go see about all of that type of history stuff. Or David Housel, as we always talk, he feels like he would be the alley that we'd all need to go down to learn our Auburn history. But those who served, those who lost their lives, obviously, particularly those who lost their lives, we get to celebrate on Memorial Day. And so we thank you so much for allowing us to do what we're doing here, just having a little bit of a podcast, technical difficulties and all, different days and all, but we're here, episode 126. We got plenty to talk about today. It's important, too, to remember it was kind of convenient for us to do this on a Monday night because of all of the baseball stuff that we're going to get into a little bit. That is coming up on the show. We're going to get into all the postseason things that you need to know. Oh, it's going to be a fun week in Auburn and coming up. But let's catch you up on a lot of Auburn news in the Auburn Potpourri segment. We're going to get you started with Auburn men's golf because, yes, baseball season is still going on. And, yes, it is postseason time for that. But our boys defending national champions, Auburn men's golf, are on the road trying to make it 2 in a row. And boy, it's been pretty dominant for them in regional play, as we addressed last week. During the first part, stroke play, as I believe it is called, in the NCAA actual championship round here, they have done very well, making it all the way up to first, at one point finishing second in that portion. And now begins the all-important final match play where we've gotten down to the top 8, Auburn sitting at a number 2 seed. Got an interesting opponent coming up here that will be playing. If you're watching this tomorrow, or if you're listening to this a little late, it's already happened. But, you know, I don't think a certain team also wearing orange and blue will be able to double dribble. Do you think they can find a way to do it in golf?
Double putts, maybe.
Double putts.
Two taps, not allowed. We'll see. But yeah, really good weekend for Auburn men's golf team. Kind of got off to a slow start by their standards. Came storming back to kind of take over the number 1 spot. Took advantage of a bad day by Arizona State, and now they're sitting pretty well at the number 2 seed overall. And now it transitions to that kind of weird kind of change of format. I think we all kind of we're learning this together over the past few years as Auburn men's golf has made it to this stage. But you transition into kind of, I don't want to say one-on-one, but best 3 out of 5, right? Or in your match play against another opponent, which I really like. I think that kind of makes it a little bit more not competitive, but you against someone else, another team. And so they've got Virginia, which is just it's like if Auburn can find a storyline to play in some sport, they're going to do it. So Virginia up first, and then, you know, the semifinals are not a few days later. They'd be following that evening. So it could be a really big day for Auburn golf tomorrow. And so I hope everybody gets a chance to tune in.
As we said on social media, we hope that y'all all tuned in this weekend, obviously with the holiday that maybe made it a little bit easier to keep up with what was going on there. But here we sit in the final stages of that particular competition. for Auburn men's golf. As a reminder, number 2 seed taking on number Virginia. If we're reading our bracket here correctly, they don't really produce a bracket. They just kind of tell you who's playing the matchup. So we're going to assume it would be the winner of number 3 Florida, number 6 Texas, and then so on and so forth. If you make it all the way down to defend officially that national title, it would be Arizona State, who's the 1 seed, Ole Miss, the 8 seed, or Oklahoma State, the 4 seed, or number 5, Oklahoma, as your particular options for who you could see in the eventual national title. So that's all that's left. A lot of SEC teams, as per usual in college sports. We pretty much dominate the entire time. But your Auburn Tigers are marching on to potentially do that. But the fact, let's be honest, Austin, the fact that they have looked just about as good as they can all year is a really impressive feat, to bringing so many people back, really only losing one person from the last year's team, if I remember correctly. This has just been a joy to watch them be pretty awesome this year as well, competing.
Yeah, I mean, they've had the target on their back as the defending champs, and that always adds a different element to the play. But they've done really well, and kind of met that standard all year.
Yeah.
And just have incredible talent on the team, and there's a part of this too where there's individual championships, and Jackson Coyven and Brendan Valdez are both doing very well on the individual side of things. So plenty for Auburn men's golf to still accomplish, and it could be a really big week, but it's really fun. I love, I kind of alluded to it, but I love when we get to this stage and you play another team, because you can start kind of doing the math and seeing who's doing well enough to take a win and those kind of things. And I feel like that was when everybody really gravitated toward it last year. So I really hope everybody gets a chance to tune in, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it definitely is. So keep up with it. It's going to be over before you know it. And it's really exciting when it gets down to the end of things. Your Auburn Tigers right there in the hunt to defend that national title. I'm actually going to throw Austin a little bit of a curveball, something I definitely want to talk about, because we shared some pictures today on social media. The few things I was able to put out there for y'all on the holiday, but several other people have put out images and videos and things like that, something that's cool for football, but also just the community as well, and the university bringing together new facilities. We've been chronicling the construction. Yes, we're talking about construction again, folks, of the north end zone and the north end zone scoreboard. We have seen that apparatus go up, and there's not been a lot major stuff done once that was up, except for putting the video board on the other side, those components, which you really can't see unless you somehow get clearance to go in there and get footage of that, or you just know people. But there's also opportunities now to see what they're going to do on the backside. And yes, the AU is officially up there, and it looks so good on the back of that thing. So Austin, now you've got what is really finally coming to fruition, a brand new view for that part of campus, and seeing a giant video board with the AU facing out. It took me a minute to get used to it, and how prominently and how tall that thing sticks up in the air.
Yeah, no, it's good to see some aesthetic finishes going on it. Mm-hmm. That was a big topic on the first time with the other board, what was going to go on the back. We tried some pictures there for a little while. We've tried a bunch of things on the back of the Boomtron, from TBT. Okay. And so, I think it was a hot topic on the back of this one, and I love the AU. Looks like there were some pictures of the Auburn Tigers kind of copper plate word marks going on the other side, I think. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it's getting pretty close. I could see us getting maybe some footage of it turning on for the first time from athletics here in the next few weeks, maybe months. But we'll see. I don't know if I told you this. This is kind of more of a personal note, but I have moved in Jordan-Hare Stadium this year, so that will be my main point of. I'm going all the way around underneath the press box, so that will be my main viewing replay point now.
Interesting. Very interesting. We'll have
Tried to get some shade earlier. That was the main.
That's a big win over there. Although it'll be interesting. I know this is random, but it'll be interesting to see how there's not going to be shade that comes from that new video board, but just whenever we add something to it, that, you know, the new press box essentially, or the media box
changes
things around. So we'll see how it looks. Definitely new viewpoints. It's going to be a brand new view outside of campus, on campus, all that stuff. Go take a look at it. We've got pictures out there. The new video board is quickly taking shape, and I'm sure we'll see some more fun things with that in the coming days, weeks, and months as we get closer to football season. I'm going to switch us over to softball for a little bit. We love to talk about recruiting and transfer portal stuff, and certainly that doesn't change whether it's the sport is football, softball, what have you. Here in softball, 2 big transfers after their season came to a close. We've got 1 infielder and 1 pitcher that has decided to come be a part of the second year under the coaches Malvo, as I call them. And Austin is going to call them one day officially. I'm going to drill that into his head. But give us a little information about them, Austin. We infielder and pitcher coming for next season.
Yeah, I mean, much like last year, of course, the Malvos now have a season under their belt, but much like last year, hitting the transfer portal hard. And so the first couple pickups they've got is a shortstop from Lipscomb University, Alyssa Hastings, originally from Huntsville, Alabama, I believe. So she's coming to an in-state school, had a very talented year in the ASUN and won some accolades for her play up there. I think that's a good position of need, as Auburn has Nelia Peralta or Rose Roach departing. So Alyssa Hastings certainly will be in play for some playing time there. And then a freshman pitcher from Rutgers, Ella Harrison, will be coming to the Plains and pitched a lot of innings for Rutgers last year. I think that could be a really strong kind of 1 or 2 pitcher for Auburn next year on the softball circle. Certainly they saw a lot of success with what the Malvos did with S.J. Guerin this year. So I think that's a really attractive piece for Auburn to add next year in Ella Harrison. So a good start to the offseason for Auburn softball. Of course, we would love for them to still be playing, but this adds another element where you continue to build a roster that could get there.
Absolutely. And that's what you do. You stack classes together, you stack things together, and before you know it, Auburn softball already had some great successes this year, making it to the NCAA tournament, giving Florida State all of its worth. Now they're adding pieces to continue doing more than just giving people the business, actually taking the business to them and taking regionals and moving on forward. So we'll see that as the 2026 season and team begins to take shape with these 2 brand new ones from Lipscomb and Rutgers. In our final piece of potpourri that I want us to talk about today, we're going to talk about a news story that blows my mind a little bit. And maybe this news item broke a little bit earlier in the year and I'm just forgetting about it. But this week it was announced that Bo Jackson was inducted into the Cotton Bowl Hall of Fame. Can you explain to me in what world how Bo Jackson is just now being inducted into anybody's Hall of Fame? We talked about this, I know, with Kansas City Royals and them taking forever to induct him into their Hall of Fame. If you have in any way have Bo Jackson as part of your team, he needs to be in your Hall of Fame today. So that is my only gripe on this. So yeah, it's a bit of a nitpick. I grant you, but officially Bo Jackson goes into the Cotton Bowl Hall of Fame.
The only thing I can play devil's advocate for the Cotton Bowl is that it was just like they've been saving Bo in their back pocket for an easy inductee in the year. Maybe it was like, hey, we're it's time to pull Bo out. We got nobody else, or we're struggling here it's too early to add someone else. It's too late to add someone else, or if we add this person, it gets a little mediocre. So that's all I got for them. I certainly think Bo is more than deserving, but it was very cool to see him out there. Very cool to see John Cohen out there with him and getting to kind of be a part of that accomplishment for Bo, but for Auburn as well.
Right. And let me give a little bit of background context so you can understand why maybe it took so long. I still don't understand this, but this has only been happening since 1998 and they do it biennial. So meaning every other year. So it's what I do quick math. Yeah. It is very odd. And if we remember, Will Herring was inducted into this, last time love Will Herring. I definitely think based on his performance in the Cotton Bowl, he deserved to be in there. But let's be honest, in 1998, on ballot 1, on space 1, it should have been Bo Jackson. And can I just add to this? This is his stats from this game, Austin. 129 yards on 39 carries and a touchdown, 2 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown. Now, Auburn did lose to Texas A&M, not part of the SEC at that point in the game, so maybe that hurts a little bit. But 129 yards and 73 yards receiving, rushing and then receiving. Day one. How is he not?
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I need to let it go. It's just it blows my mind.
The math there says that they've only had 14 inductees if you do it biannually, which is very strange to me. But I guess that helps my kind of earlier point where you just don't have to pick somebody every year. But he's in your top 15 inductees, I guess. I think we can all agree that probably should have been higher up. But nonetheless, how many schools have two of their players in the top, their first 15 Hall of Fame inductions? I would like to know, though, if you got Will Herring and Bo Jackson.
I'm just saying, somebody do the math. That seems like a Clint Richardson type of thing. By the way, we're going to be talking about him a lot this episode if you haven't figured it out yet. So just saddle up if you're
he's twitching.
He's twitching. Somewhere. He's like woke up. He just like, if he's asleep right now, it's like somebody's talking about me.
He's like sleeping. He's sleeping with the gloms, and he's like,
I love that.
He's got a helmet he made on. He's like,
got a helmet he made on. He's got like the Nike symbol. He's just like, he's like
getting used to it.
He's just like, so, and then the Under Armour's in the trash over there. Yeah. So anyway,
he's got a flat bill and a helmet on. He's like
all the things. All right, enough Clint Richardson talk. That's just weird. We'll have him on soon enough. There you go. Cotton Bowl Hall of Fame for Bo Jackson. That wraps up Auburn Potpourri. We've got plenty to talk about in our main talking points. But first, we want to remind you about our friends at Magic Mind. And as we're just about to talk about, postseason college baseball is here, baby. Your Auburn Tigers are going to be a huge part of it, as you found out today and as we're going to talk about. But what does that mean for you, Auburn fans? It means you got to focus. It means all these baseball games that you're going to have to keep track of, even the ones that Auburn's not participating in, to see how this is going to go down. It's basically March Madness. It means you got to be focused. It means that you're going to need a little something extra to help you stay focused on your day-to-day responsibilities, staying up all night, watching the endings of these baseball games. Peak mental performance is the key for this. And there's so many things that you can do to give yourself that energy, thinking about energy shots or drinks out there. But let's be honest, some of those things, they're just not that good for us. They don't have good side effects and can be bad in high dosages, all those things. But this is where our friends at Magic Mind come in, and you've heard us talk about them a lot every sports season. Baseball season is no different. You need to make sure you check out their mental performance shot and use it this Auburn baseball season. Here's their limited time offer for you that you can use now. 48% off your first time subscription or 20% off that one-time purchase using our code Auburn Experience. That's AUBURN EXPERIENCE at checkout. Use magicmind.com Auburn Experience to get there. Just a few more things about their mental performance shot. As always, I want you to remember this is not a replacement for your daily coffee. That's not what we're trying to do here. In fact, it's best used with your daily coffee if you are that type of person, because it'll help the effects of that coffee last longer. It's time-release caffeine that will help avoid that caffeine crash that you get with other supplements. You can get you 100% of your daily dose of vitamin C and D in each bottle, and it's 100% safe and tested for their advisory board and doctors and medical research that have resulted in their 10-plus year developed formula. Once again, we want you to visit them at magicmind.com/Auburn Experience to get that code Auburn Experience, using that at the checkout for 48% off your first subscription or 20% off your first or your one-time purchase. Again, magicmind.com/Auburn Experience. So let's move into our first major topic this evening, Austin. And boy, oh boy, I am learning to love this time of year just about as much as March Madness. And that is saying something, folks, because you know how much I love college football, and you know how much I preach that March Madness is the best event in college, in sports, that being men's and women's basketball. But NCAA tournament time is just fun, especially when your team wasn't in it last year, which was such a while. Can I just remind folks, we missed it last year with just the weirdest fluke of a year that didn't make sense whatsoever. And yet here Auburn baseball sits. certain things happen in the SEC tournament. That doesn't matter. We are here, though, talking today about Auburn baseball, the number 4 seed overall in the NCAA baseball tournament, which means I think I've got these stats correct, Austin, ties their highest seeding in program history. And I believe if they win this one, will be the first time they would ever host a super regional. Am I correct on my facts there?
You're correct. That's what I've heard. That's what I've looked up as well. Yeah, just really remarkable, especially when you take into context what happened last year.
Yep.
That there were many fools. That's what you're going to get called, because that's what I called you last year. What I'm still going to call you, that we're calling for Butch Thompson's head. There were plenty that left the bandwagon. That's fine. I
Plenty
hope
of room
you're
for us.
hanging on by a thread back there. But the fact that they're back and came back to reach a historic level for this program just speaks oodles of credit for what this roster did, this staff did. Just an all-around very impressive year, and so many parallels to the basketball season. I think when you look at, this is the only team in the top 8 seeds that does not have 40 wins, but they were rewarded for their big non-conference wins, rewarded for their strength of schedule.
Yep.
And then playing in the SEC, especially, and finishing off the way they did. Just a very, very impressive year. And I'll be honest, a top 4 seed surprised me.
Yeah.
I thought, I was not expecting that. First off, just small tangent. The way the NCAA selection show for baseball works is just very odd. We're just going to randomly tweet out the top 4 seeds in alphabetical order like 30 minutes before we all tune in.
It was interesting.
Very interesting marketing choice there. But I think everybody was like, Auburn's on here. And so, you said the results of the SEC tournament didn't matter. I think the selection committee said, no, they didn't. Because, but just, we talk about SEC baseball all the time and how difficult it is. 6 of the top 8 SEC teams. And Auburn's top 4 seed, like you said, ties their highest ever. Certainly still work to be done, and they still need to produce wins and produce offense and pitch well, but just an incredible accomplishment, especially piggybacking off of last year.
And sure, you always want to focus on the ultimate goal here is to win every game and win the national title from this point forward. But you have to take a step back for a second and appreciate what's been done, so that when you find yourself surprisingly calling for Butch Thompson's head after just one bad year, you can look back to a series of things and go, hey, that one season where things just weirdly dropped off when we told you it was going to drop off? Look what happened right after it. But even go back further than that, look at the full body of work of what he's done, getting to the College World Series twice. He's hosted several regionals. He's gotten to super regionals, beating people out in Corvallis. The body of work for Butch Thompson speaks itself. I better ever hear someone say one bad word about the man from now on. Now, listen, there's going to come a time when his time ends, and hopefully he gets to choose that. But let me just tell you this: if you say one bad word about Butch Thompson, I will find you.
I will run you out of town.
I will slap you.
It will be. Yes, violence is sometimes the answer, and that would be the answer there.
Yes, we call it taking you behind a woodshed. And
that's right.
You come out a changed person after that. Anyway, let's
behind Plainsman Park in a red barn and just.
Okay, right, let's move on. I feel like let's reel this back in. We're setting ourselves up for lawsuits here, I feel like. Okay, so we're celebrating, obviously, just the seeding, what Auburn's accomplished this whole season, being rewarded. It feels very reminiscent of Auburn men's basketball this season in terms of them being rewarded for what they did throughout the season, and deservedly so. And they showed that they proved they needed that seeding was worth it. They made it to the Final Four. Will the equivalent happen for Auburn baseball? That is the question. Now, we can do that, certainly, Austin, at the end of this, is give our predictions if you'd like to. But I think it's more important for us to spend time focusing on what's right here in front of us. The Auburn Regional. Let me say that again, how beautiful it is. The Auburn Regional, hosted at Plainsman Park. Beautiful, brand new renovated Plainsman Park. I am going to be there for the games. I got the tickets ready to roll. It's going to be so much fun. I hope to see so many of you all there. But here is what we have on tap for you. In the Auburn Regional, of course, the Auburn Tigers, as the number 4 overall seed, will be hosting and there to take on Central Connecticut. Now, I'm looking at that logo. I'm assuming they are yet again another Blue Devil. Is that what we're going with?
I think that's sound logic based on that logo. Yeah.
What is the deal? I've never met a devil that was blue. I mean, the only devil that I've ever known is in a different place, and he's somehow described as red, but I don't know. It's just weird. Blue devils, I don't know where that comes from.
Makes sense that it's red.
And you know that that's true. And I was going to say, the only one I was referring to used to live in Tuscaloosa, or at least he has an office there. So anyway, Auburn versus Central Connecticut in the first matchup for them, which will be at night. I think it's 6 p.m.
Game 2, 6 p.m. Central Time. Yes,
6 p.m. So that'll be what you'll be looking forward to. Of course, the host team gets to play at night, but 1 p.m.
going to be an awesome atmosphere.
Oh, it's hey, listen. I am so stoked. I am so excited for the whole day, the whole weekend, because there's going to be Auburn fans there, Central Connecticut fans. There are probably 2 of them, but they'll be there. There's going to be other fans of teams who are going to be there. Everybody getting to see our campus. I love this time. I get to love talking to other fans to see what they think, what they like, what's their experience like. And hopefully we'll get rave reviews to talk about again from people that we'll get to talk with them about what they feel like their experience was about. So the other 2 teams, the number 2 in this would be NC State, and the number 3 would be Stetson. Stetson is a very prominent name in baseball coming out of the state of Florida. And then NC State seems to be quite the challenging opponent to have in this regional, because if things go chalk, if Auburn beats Central Connecticut, moves on and waits for their next opponent, if NC State does the same, and then eventually Central Connecticut, Stetson are eliminated from this, and we go 1-2, Auburn versus NC State would be the chalk situation. A lot of people I saw, Austin, are worried about that. And you don't have to even pick on NC State, but what's your thoughts about the opponents and the situation for Auburn here?
Well, in college baseball, I think that the 1 and 2 seed in each regional is always a very hot topic, just because baseball is anything can happen. And there's going to be talented teams. There's teams that are that close. If you take the 1s and 2s, that's just 30. That's the top 32 teams in America. Mm-hmm. And out of 300. And so those teams are talented. You never know what can happen on a certain day. And so I think that's fair. I think NC State is certainly an established program in the ACC who also plays a very difficult schedule. And so I think it's fair, but I think, whoever was going to show up on that 2 line for Auburn, or however it shook out, was going to be a difficult matchup. I think there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it, or any way around that. So I think as long as Auburn, continues to focus on themselves, they'll be just fine. But sure. I don't know a whole lot specifically about NC State, but I think across college baseball, we might get to, the region Auburn's paired up with is Coastal Carolina's region. Their 2 seeds, Florida. That sounds miserable. And I think just across the tournament, the 2 seed is always a dangerous place for the host, because they're they just missed out on hosting.
And I'll take it a step further. Yes, the 1s and the 2s are expected. That's why we call it going chalk, to face each other to get out of the regional. But as we've seen in even softball and men's basketball, the lowest seed sometimes comes in there and just says hello,
right,
and takes some people out. And maybe it's not even the lowest seed. A team like Stetson has a history of being very competitive in these situations. I'm gonna drop a little prediction here right now.
We're going.
I got no basis for thinking of this. I'm going to predict that Stetson beats NC State in game 1. They don't make it to the end. NC State's going to have to do kind of what Auburn softball did and work their way back up to face Auburn for the double elimination. That's my prediction right here. I think Stetson's going to shock everybody on Friday to start this get this Auburn regional kicked off just with a wow, and then have NC State go on a tear to have to be able to face Auburn for the end of all of this. Is it How do you feel? Can I get a prediction out of you? Just like, do you think Auburn's going to get out of it, or are you?
I certainly think that could happen. I think Auburn gets out of it, but I think it goes pretty chalky.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's going to go pretty chalky. Maybe outside, like you said, maybe outside of an early game or two, but I feel like it's going to go pretty chalky, and the Auburn NC State games will be pretty competitive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I certainly don't want this to happen, but I don't know if there will be an if game on Monday. Because if you come out of that losers bracket, whether it's Auburn, NC State, you got to win twice.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that could happen. I'm not sure how I feel about if that could happen or not, but I certainly think Auburn in this format, Auburn's pitching, I think, can go a really long way in helping them when you look at guys who are on the kind of peripheral in Chatterton, and guys who are not used to being the starters, the more midweek guys. So we'll see how it goes. I like Auburn's chances in a regional format.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Saddle up. The weather looks mostly favorable. Friday has a little bit of rain potential there, which could wreak havoc with schedules a little bit. But I think the atmosphere is going to be incredible. As Austin said, go ahead.
Yeah, I got two things. I mean, my wife and Emily and I were talking today that kind of the hosting a regional has kind of become like one of the staples of since we moved back, just because it's something very easy that we've been able to go to pre-twins. But I think that it's been, we've had ones where we had rain delays and we just walk right in. We've had ones where we watch from the parking deck, but it is very different than other events on campus throughout the school year because most of the kids are gone. I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. I'm just saying most of the kids are gone. It is very much a town kind of comes together thing. And as far as Auburn, the people that don't travel in, and it makes just a unique atmosphere, but it's one of my favorite parts of the sports calendar that I like more since I became a resident than I did as just a student and a fan.
Yeah.
It's just different that way. The other thing is I was going to ask you, sir, because I have linked up with you before in these regionals. We've gotten to see each other and hang out. But in the past, you have been a very big proponent of the parking deck and getting your spot. So I want to know where you're going to be. Where are you going to move around? Where are you thinking you're going to be in the regional? There's a lot of new spaces now.
Now that I have the tickets, I will obviously be in the park. So I will be moving around. That's typically my MO. If anybody has an open seat next to them, let me know. I'd be happy to come sit down for a minute. But I like to share the experience. So yeah, I will be up on War Eagle Wall. I will be down the first baseline. I'll be standing behind my home plate when there's a spot to do so and not block people's view right there along the walls. My goal here is to experience the whole thing and share that experience with all of you. Maybe also stepping out for a little bit and going up to that parking deck to show y'all the views from there as well. I would recommend that if you are thinking about utilizing that parking deck, you might want to be there very early.
Yes. And that Friday night, right? Friday night. So
yeah,
that Friday night game on War Eagle Wall is going to be something. It's going to be very cool. I'm very much looking forward to seeing your footage and hearing about that because by nature of expansion, there's going to be attendance records. We talked about that throughout the season. There will be attendance. This will be a postseason attendance record for Auburn baseball. You can book it. But that War Eagle Wall is going to be freaking awesome. I hope there's a bunch of students still around. I saw that they get all session student tickets for $10 and outfield in the area. So, hey, look, this is the time for the frat polar plunge. Isn't that what we called it?
That's what we called it. I
can't wait to see it in Thompsontown or what. I don't know what we came up with, but
something like that. Yeah,
it's going to be an awesome weekend at Plainsman Park.
Settle in, folks. Very quickly here, because hopefully you and I are going to be talking about Auburn again at the end of this, hosting their first super regional. The other side of this, from the Conway, South Carolina regional, that's Coastal Carolina. For those who don't know that, they're pretty good. It's the 13th overall seed. We'll be hosting Fairfield, Florida, as you already alluded to, and Eastern Carolina. That's a challenging regional, no matter which way you slice it. What's your gut telling you? Who comes out of that one to potentially face Auburn in the super regional or NC State, whoever?
the minute that showed up, I just thought this is Auburn, Florida are going to be in Plainswood Park. I got a feeling for
it's
it.
Going to explode. It's going to explode.
I don't know what I hope for. I don't know but I just feel like that's the outcome here is Auburn, Florida in Plainswood Park for a super regional. Of course, Florida is used to hosting these regional, super regionals, a long history of that. Auburn has faced Florida in a super regional under Butch Thompson's tenure. You remember that fondly of how that season ended. Not fondly, actually, but we remember it vividly. But I think with that, I just see that happening. I just feel like that's where we're headed, and it will be Florida coming to Plains Park. And man, oh man, that would be something.
It will be something. Lots and lots of orange and blue. If that happens, you got to take care of business, and that's why we spent most of our time focusing on Auburn Regional once again hosting the NCAA baseball tournament, folks. It is going to be fun. Saddle up, get out to the park, stop by, come say hello if you see me or anybody else. Just, folks, this is what the Auburn Experience is all about, and it's going to be a fun one here in June, effectively. Yes, June at that time in Auburn, Alabama. As our final main topic this evening, we want to maybe just have some future thinking things here about opponents that we want to see. Now, I know when I say that, most of you are thinking, oh, what football teams you want to play? And yes, we probably have loosely had this conversation before for football, but we're not going to do that today. We might do that at a different time if it's something we need to carry on over with. The reason that I'm thinking about, and I wanted to talk about this, is we are postseason basketball for men's basketball and women's, but more so thinking about men's right now. And there's a lot of scheduling news coming out. And it's just not been a lot of Auburn scheduling news. Now, part of that is because we have brilliant schedulers and who run things within the Auburn men's basketball program, like Burgomaster and everybody else who's involved with that. And they've already got several things lined up: the Purdue, the Arizona matchup, the return of Houston, all that. That's all happening and plenty more. But there's just, I felt left out, Austin, because I watched John Rothstein announcing these matchups every single day on social media. I'm like, where is the next Auburn announcement? I need my fix. So I don't know if you deal with that, that FOMO of being left out of the mix here, but that's why I want to talk about this today.
Yeah, well, there's plenty out there. I think, like you said, it does have a lot to do with Auburn's non-conference schedule is kind of solidified, if you can say that. Now, certainly some things can still be added, and we'll hear later. We always hear about the opponent for the Atlanta. Remind me the name of the event.
Hoopsgiving, holiday
Hoopsgiving later on. That has been a success for Auburn in attendance and proximity, of course, and then being shown exposure. So I'm sure that'll come back too, but I think that's just part of it. But there's certainly things that in the future, Auburn men's basketball will get some of these home and homes done, and we'll get a chance to add some more. And we got a list that they could choose from.
We do. So we said this is an episode full of Clint Richardson of the Auburn Uniform Database. He wakes up in his bed since we're doing this late night again, thinking, who's talking about me? Or who's saying that terrible thing about me? Don't worry, Clint. I say terrible things about you all the time. It shouldn't be any surprise to you. But here we are. I think I actually am going to be able to bring this graphic up on screen. Now, nice. I want to preface this, folks. Let me see if this is going to work for us or not. Oh, wow.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Let's pull this off.
That's not it.
Let's pull this off here for a second, if I can. Hello, Kyle. There we go. So this graphic is from Clint Richardson. It is a little bit old at this point. But this is all when he made this, I think, a couple of years ago. All the teams at that time that Auburn men's basketball had not played. And I will even see if I can bring us off screen completely here for just a second so you can get a good look at least at most of the logos. Some of them are getting cut off just because of the screen nature of things there. You'll look and see the Vermont Catamounts on there. I think those are actually down at the bottom if you see the tip of their logo, the top of their logo. So we've obviously played them. They're off the list.
The Kent State Flashes are also off.
Yes.
I've actually got Clint, a more recent one pulled up, I think, and he has those two crossed out.
Well, there you go. So you've done your due diligence. Here I am, not ready to go.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull this up for a little bit, just so everybody can maybe stop and look at it, think about it for a second here, and I'll pull us back on screen so we can at least have each other to look at our ugly
Monmouth.
mugs.
Monmouth actually is another one
Monmouth,
that
yes.
we can cross off.
But look at this beautiful list here, Austin. Let's put ourselves in the scheduling conversation. Who from this list do you want to see for Auburn men's basketball in the future? Like, who's sticking out first thing to you as an Auburn men's basketball fan? What do you want?
Yeah, the very first one that popped out to me, and we are actually covering it right now as our video clips.
Here we go. Right there.
It is the UCLA Bruins. I think that is up there with the Arizona, the Houston, the kind of big basketball program names, basketball royalty that Auburn's been getting to schedule them as of late. And so that's it for me. I think UCLA, home and home there would be just really cool. It might have to be one of those where we play in a bigger arena in Los Angeles and then a bigger arena in Birmingham or something like that. But I would love to see UCLA. They jumped off the page for me the minute I pulled up the thing and kind of started looking through all the logos. Georgetown was another one.
Yep.
To me, that's kind of similar back in the early Bruce days of getting Xavier to come to Auburn and going up there. But it's UCLA by far and away. If I could book that in today, I'd do it.
Well, it's the same thing when you play the game of who do you want to face in Auburn football that you haven't played yet. You look for the big names of that particular sport. UCLA jumps out at you. Georgetown is one that I looked at as well. Let me throw Maryland at you too. Now, Maryland, I know, is certainly dipped a little bit, but they won a national title in somewhat recent history. Oh, it's still weird that they're part of the Big Ten, but I think Maryland I could probably throw in there as well into that upper echelon group that's pretty, well known in the space. And maybe Cincinnati too would be something.
Sure.
That Cincinnati Xavier rivalry in basketball has really produced some fireworks from time to time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it yet, and I'm trying to make sure that it's actually on the one that I had pulled up. I think it was, or maybe I'm wrong now. Oh man, yeah, I think I may have had it wrong. It may have been on the other list that I was looking at. I was the same. No, there they are. See it? It's right in the middle. There's towards the middle. There's one non-major university across all sports, but it's prominent in basketball that I might like to play. Who do you think that is? In fact, there's one right close to them that you'll make the mistake of that I'm thinking of, if that helps.
Oh, gosh.
Think out west. Way out west.
Well, I see three here that I've always liked to watch.
Okay.
And they're all next to each other, but I think the San Francisco Dons are always a really cool
I forgot
team.
about them.
But there's also right there, San Diego State's a good basketball team and program that's had a lot of success. And St. Mary's is the one we always watch at 1 a.m.
St. Mary's it is. Now, St. Mary's, why? Because they're that team,
the Gales,
other than Gonzaga, that comes out of there every year from, what is it, the Big West that they're part of?
I thought it was just the West Conference, but
whatever it is.
The Big West is probably it. Yeah, they've got it's that conference championship every year, right? That we're all watching. It's the St. Mary's Gonzaga game twice a year that we all say Gonzaga, that's their only hope of taking a loss.
Yeah.
They play a crazy brand of basketball too. That's always really entertaining. That'd be a big one. I would think St. Mary's would love to get Auburn's made themselves a very prominent name in the last little while. And so I think that'd be a lot of fun. Now, I could not tell you where exactly St. Mary's is.
I've looked this up before.
It's not in Washington, is it?
No, St. Mary's, I believe, is in California. I believe I believe that. I could be wrong, but I believe it's in California.
We're doing a little
doing the
on-air research here.
But to me, I look for the big names, obviously, but I also look for maybe those niche big names that outside of that sport, maybe they're not talked about a lot. And I think St. Mary's very much falls in that category, being that effectively that number 2 to Gonzaga out of there.
Sure.
That's worthy of coming out every single year. Did we get a location yet?
Moraga, California. Yes,
there you go. Wherever that is.
So, now look, and this isn't a sexy team because they haven't been very good lately, but we've talked about our fondness of the football home and home for Penn State. They jumped out at me too. Is that was a good experience. Man, there was another one I just saw.
I was about to say there's one on here that is just kind of across multiple sports that we haven't brought up yet, and then people probably are screaming at us, why have you not talked about this one yet?
Oh,
Do you see it? Notre Dame. But we've actually checked that one off the list, haven't we?
I was about to say Notre Dame's
checked that one off
mine.
the list. That's one of the ones we haven't checked off.
That was in Brooklyn, I think.
That
right?
You are correct. So that's why it didn't pop up to you right there. But
yes.
Notre Dame would, if this list, like I said, I'd had the correct list. That wouldn't have been one we talked about. Penn State, though, I think is one of those big names in college sports that you definitely want to have on there. Maybe to round out our discussion, we've talked about a lot of the big names. Look at some of these on here that are smaller teams that we talk about a lot.
Could come to Auburn, yeah.
Could come to Auburn and really draw an interesting crowd because they have that. They're being known in the tournament at least a little bit. I see a couple on here. What do you look and see?
That's a good way of putting it because I've really been thinking home and home, in that line of thinking. But certainly there's teams that Auburn could maybe get to come, like a Monmouth. Grand Canyon is one for me.
That's a good one.
I mean, I think they've had a lot of success. They're always a really popular sleeper upset pick in the tournament for people. Grand Canyon is definitely one for me. Abilene Christian, the very top left up there is one for me. And look, I don't remember if we were doing the show or not when Auburn played Akron in football, but that is where my other degree is from. So an Auburn Akron matchup would always be fun too.
I'm going to go a little different route. I'm going to go Drexel. That's a name that just kind of that has had some presence in the tournament. Not much anymore, but it just feels right next to them. Drake, especially.
Yeah, definitely.
Drake, I think, needs to be today. Like, if I could go to, I can't pick a major.
Big game.
If I go to Mike Burgomaster and say, and he tells me, all right, can't be a major team, but it can be someone that's made the tournament recent and has been pretty prominent in that way, a smaller conference team. Who you got? I want Drake today. Give me Drake at Neville Arena. What about, and you can't see it on the way it's on our screen, but at the bottom, there's a yellow and black logo.
Yeah, they were on my list.
Wichita State, the Shockers, bring them on, baby. I want Wichita State in Neville Arena today too.
They've lost a little bit of their soiree, like they had in the past when we were all picking them to go deep in the tournament. But I like them. UNC Greensboro and Wright State are both kind of similar for me. Those are double-digit seeds in the tournament a lot of times, but usually winning their conference. And that's what really Mike Burgomaster and Auburn seem to look for are those teams that they can bring to Auburn who won their conference last year, play a challenging style of basketball, and get them in November and December inside Neville Arena. So, look, I think last year Auburn checked off 3 of these, maybe 4. So I don't have any confirmation that Mike Burgomaster looks at this list, but maybe he does. Maybe he does. I mean I think that's a good way to go about it. If you can match up with what you're looking for and how you can prepare your team and challenge your team, which he obviously does a really great job of, and they happen to fall on this list, then why not?
Why not? I mean, I'm just telling you.
Can I give you one more?
Yes.
Just because I saw it.
Do it.
For old time's sake, and I think they've moved on from this coach and whatever. But man, Dunk City from Florida.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought I was gonna say it. If he doesn't say it, we have to have Dunk City.
I just saw it, and I was like, man, bring it for all of us who remember.
God, what a time of March Madness! What a time to be alive! I'm so happy that you said that. Like that. Oh, hello. That makes me so glad that you picked up on that. Okay, so there you go. There were some particular ones that we thought of. I saw plenty we could have talked about.
Lots.
We want to know from you guys who do you want to play in Auburn men's basketball next season, the coming seasons. There is plenty on there. Very quickly, maybe not spend as much time on that, but just it's baseball season, and Clint just put out a list, an updated list for baseball. I don't have that ready to pull up for you guys, but certainly I think you've had an opportunity to look at Central Connecticut will be taken off this list. Did you get a chance to look at it, or do you have it pulled up right now?
I do have it pulled up. Central Connecticut's on that list. To my knowledge and to my best looking over it, I don't think any else from our region or from the Conway region are on it. Should those things work out, so it looks like just Central Connecticut, and that's a guarantee, right? Because until the ball is thrown, but that's a guarantee that you'll get one of those crossed off, which is pretty cool.
Right.
But there's some on here that might surprise you, but I think we've talked about this on previous episodes. The more Auburn continues to play in these kind of showcases to start the year in Texas and other places where you have a big grouping of teams. Nebraska's on this list. They're on the one for next February.
There you go.
So, I think that you have a chance to cross more of these off, which is pretty cool. But I'm not sure who all I would pick on here as far as just, I don't know, prominence in baseball as well. TCU had a great year. They're on here. Auburn's done a really good job of getting all the in-state schools. I would have to look at a map to kind of see who else is nearby that Auburn could make sense. But yeah, there's some good options.
Well, that's what I'm looking for, because you think about those midweek games for Auburn baseball, teams we haven't played. Could you start knocking some of those off? You like to play your Alabama teams, your Georgia teams, all that kind of stuff, and it works really well with scheduling on those midweek games. But I think there's some that aren't super far away. Hey, listen, we just talked about it in basketball, preferred opponents. What about Florida Gulf Coast in baseball? I don't know what they are. Not Dunk City, but Bomb City.
Bomb City. You got them. You got North Florida, I see on here. I think Nichols State is in Louisiana. So, but there's also a level to this to where we see pretty regularly the first half or in throughout February is a lot of these teams from way up north who their field's just frozen over and they can't use ice skates while they're playing baseball. And so, the regional part of it might be who are the teams that are furthest possible away from us that need somewhere to come play.
Utah?
Utah, why not?
Washington?
Villanova. Those are some cold places. So, we'll see. I don't know if Butch Thompson looks at Clint's list, but there's some good options on here, Butch. That's all I'm saying.
That's all I'm saying.
There's some that I could see that would be a lot of fun. Like if we're going just for the similar kind of talk of like the big names, Oregon's on here.
Yep.
Dallas Baptist is on here.
Oh, Dallas Baptist needs that. That would be cool. Dallas Baptist to me would be comparable to getting whatever I said in basketball. Help me. What did I say that I wanted today? Anyway, I just think it's one of those prominent teams in baseball.
St. Mary's.
St. Mary. I want like St. Mary's in basketball. I want Dallas Baptist today.
It'd be really cool. So yeah, there's some really good options on here, and I'm not surprised, but there's less teams in D1 baseball than there are basketball. I guess that does actually make sense with just indoor facilities and less people on a team, but there's some good options on here, so we'll have to see. And Clint always does a really good job of keeping up with this, so we don't have to. And so stay tuned to see what he says and who Auburn baseball might be checking off next year and in years to come.
And as a honorable mention, just to kind of round out our time, I'm going to throw out UC Santa Barbara and UC Irvine as
Gauchos and the Eaters.
I want us to take a trip out there and play them, just kind of some California teams and come back.
Sure. Did you know those mascots? Was that why you picked them? Or
no? But Irvine is usually a little bit, can do some things every once in a while. But there's a lot of California smaller teams that sometimes pop up, and it just feels like it would be very appropriate to take a trip out there. Maybe not so much have them here. And have Auburn do some, maybe even throw a game with Southern Cal or UCLA or whatever. But anyway, there you go. That's some potential opponents for Auburn baseball, what we'd like to see, and some for basketball as well, as we talked about. That's going to do it for episode 126 of the Auburn Experience podcast. We appreciate you spending some time with us today, whether you watched live or replay, whether you are just now listening and catching up with the Auburn Experience. We appreciate you being here. If you want to keep up with me, do so on X at Kyle Loomis 24. You can also follow all the E2C Network, and I would highly recommend you do that for this weekend regional time, baby. Where can they follow and find you?
Yeah, on X, on Instagram, at Austin G. Scott. Definitely going to be a great weekend in Auburn. So looking forward to seeing all the stuff, all the people coming in town, and hopefully it's the first of 2 big weekends.
Yes, big weekends, and we'll start right here with this one. And the folks, let's show up, show out, and show people what Auburn's all about here with our support of the team and the town and all those things. With that being said, thank you for tuning in. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.
War Eagle.